Oh, there we go. There we go. Got to talk a little louder. Let me get the music back up. What's going on? Good afternoon, folks. What's going on? What is going on? I see NPC. I see Carlos. You guys are showing up. I'm going to be doing a fighter subclass. I still got some stuff from last week. Let me switch correct one. Oh, I have news up and I should have internet up. Screen. Sorry about that. Carlos asking already. Top of the stream. Please make a wrestler subclass for the barb. I want one so badly. I have a actual master list of subclasses I want to eventually get to, since I'm a newbie designer. One of those things where I will get to them once I'm comfortable doing them. All right, let's kick this off. Good afternoon, hello everybody. Welcome to Dungeoneers Pack Live. It is a weekly live stream show where I go over the latest news in Dungeons & Dragons and normally cover topics or other fun D&D related things throughout the stream. This one's probably going to run a little bit longer just because we are doing a design. I want to finalize, with your help, finalize my fighter subclass. Stefan coming in. Don't worry, with even once you've done tons of them, you'll start to have that list. It not get smaller. Oh, I hope it doesn't. There's just certain archetypes and character fantasies that haven't been hit with 5th edition yet that I want to cover that. I think many other people have covered as well. So, yeah, this week, starting off with news, there's actually some news. Big thing is the creators of Dragonlance. They announced a new setting book. They're introducing a new setting. Tracy Hickman and Laura Hickman, they are behind Dragonlance, a very, very fan favorite or D&D setting from way back, and they're supposed to be writing novels for the setting for Wizards, but they are also coming out with a new setting by them. Oh, Steven. Okay, sorry. Oh, what's going on, David? All right, so for those that don't know who Tracy Hickman and Laura Hickman are, they're a husband-wife team. They are most notably known, obviously, for Dragonlance, as I've said, but also one of the creative forces behind Ravenloft. They are coming out with a Sky Pirate Sky World called Sky Raiders of Barax. Butchering this. And that's all that's known. They're going to have a Kickstarter probably in the coming months, and that's it. They have some really cool art. And they've released little things here and there. This is like their main site, their launch site for it. Sky Raiders of Barax has some pretty sweet art. Nice little here, like a little minor description. And then just, yeah, that's pretty much it. This is probably exciting for those that are into the Dragonlance setting and are waiting for Wizards to actually do something with Dragonlance. For those that want a feeling of what these creators have done in the past and looking for something new, then I'm pretty sure this will be right up to alley. The art itself is evocative, and I enjoy this. A Sky Pirate-esque setting was like the closest thing to Spelljammer we will probably get. So if they make some sort of like airship, Final Fantasy-esque airship stuff, I know you can get that in Eberron, but maybe more Skies of Arcadia kind of things. I don't know. I think that'll be pretty sweet. There's been an abundance of third-party settings being dropped by like high-profile designers. So even in this article from Polygon, they mentioned Chris Menson formerly from Blizzard. He started his own design game studio called Warchief Gaming or Warchief. And yeah, they came out with theirs called Ouroboros, and then of course Critical Role is coming out with the updated Tal'Dorei campaign setting. So expect those two also to be out soon. All right, but yeah, it'll be interesting. They're the most unique thing that is very vague. They've said that they're introducing in this setting book is called the Unique living tome system. They don't hint as to what that actually means whatsoever, so it's a word soup right now. So yeah, that's pretty much the only big thing in like news. And then but I do want to give a shout out to Paul, Eric, and Julie over at Fry Minis, always showing support here on the channel. So Fry Minis got early access to Wild Beyond the Witchlight. Eric is doing like massive coverage of the book. I dropped a link to his playlist in the description if you guys want to eventually check that out. And if you haven't, go over there, show support. Especially if you're looking to DM this, it is a campaign book, so obviously this stuff is going to be very DM centered, which is fun. There are player options in there, and then Eric has gone over them. And also want to give a shout out to Winter Wyvern. He did a breakdown of the Harengon also, and a really great video on that. So go check them both out. Go show support to them. They're doing amazing coverage on both the setting book. Eric is covering everything. Yeah, so definitely go show them love. Go show them support. Go subscribe if you haven't yet. I will be doing my breakdown of the Harengon and the Fairy player options actually sooner than I expected. So I will get more to that way later. So let's jump into the question of the week. As part of the nature of doing my own homebrew, I guess third party player option myself. I wanted to ask what is community's favorite option they'd like to use at their tables in their games, or they check out. And you guys can answer this in the chat below too. Go ahead and drop what your favorite is. The folks over on the community page on YouTube, Ben Collins, he said the commoner class is his personal favorite. Then he also provided links. So if you go to the community page on YouTube, he has a link that you can actually go check it out. It's from Unearthed Arcana itself. Steven said, I cannot decide if I want to pronounce Harengon, how it's written, or lean there and gone pun. Looks like they were going for. As with anything with D&D, how you pronounce it is perfectly acceptable. Harengon. I was pronouncing it without the N for a very long time because I didn't realize that there was an N somewhere in there. Yeah. Let's see. So yeah, Ben Collins, his answer was the commoner class is his personal favorite, and then he provides a link to Unearthed Arcana Reddit subreddit, which is a big homebrew subreddit for everything for 5th edition. So go ahead and check that out. I haven't checked it out yet. I plan on doing it. Igvital says, reflect everything's changing books, the looks of spells, abilities, tweak some rules, features. If a player wants different damage from the feature, weapon, skill, or something like that, I would allow it. And he himself is more allowing homebrewing instead of just picking up another third-party option. What he does here is a lot of what I do. Right now, for example, we have a Fiend Patron Warlock in our Avernus campaign. And obviously, Fiend Patron is a very fire-heavy spell base. So I allowed him to change the damage type of all his spells to ice, or cold damage, excuse me, because he is his patron is Levistus, who is a archdevil that actually is aligned more with a cold and ice damage. So yeah, so very along the same lines of exactly what I do, and any of my other players were to ask me for doing stuff, I would do this. All right. And then the NPC dropped anything from Cold Ball Press. I particularly like the Beer Domain Cleric, and he provided a link. I 100% agree. Cold Ball Press is really, really great for third-party subclasses. I have the Heroes of Midgard book, which has the Beer Domain subclass for the Cleric. The only big thing about the Cobalt Press is that they're, compared to 5th edition design now, since these subclasses are a little dated, they're more in line with Player's Handbook power level, compared to stuff like that's out in Tasha's and Xanathar's, where they're a little bit more pushed. To put them more, the Tasha's and Xanathar's subclasses are more in line with the higher power level, I want to say, of some of the Player's Handbook subclasses, while Cobalt Press tend to be more in the middle of the pack. you're still gonna have a lot of fun with them because there's actually some awesome options, and they're coming out with a Tome of Heroes, which is their a player option equivalent to their Tome of Beast book, which is gonna have a slew of just subclasses for all fifth edition classes. It's probably going to feature a lot of the stuff that's in Heroes of Midgard because a lot of them are applicable to other stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I agree. The beer domain is actually. And then Michael Cullen dropped in plug-in very, very familiar names. If you've been in the Indestructible Boy Discord, another shout out to him too. Him and a bunch of designers are all in there offering advice, critique on stuff when they can, and just generally love talking about D&D, critiquing it and the positives of trying to find a way to help other designers or those looking into homebrew get better at it. So Benjamin Huffman, the Pugilist, it is a monk or bare knuckle fighter class that takes the monk flavor out of it and just makes it so like you're pretty much just a person that likes to throw down and punch, kick, and yeah, it's actually really, really good. It's a lot of people don't use the monk and go use this because it actually fixes some issues people have with the monk, and it's pretty much almost completely its own thing. It's pretty much its own thing. I recommend go checking this out. It comes up a lot for those that want to play a hand-to-hand combatant that isn't tied to either some Asian tropes and stereotypes, or they just don't like the mechanics of the monk itself. Ross Lesser with the shaman, Indestructible Boy and him, I believe, have a video or live stream talking about and going over the design of that. Go ahead and Google that and check that out. Indestructible Boy's Merchant. Nerd Immersion gave a big old shout out to this one. I haven't personally checked it out yet, but I believe Indestructible Boy did say it was influenced by like JRPGs and merchant type classes and character options that were found in various games like that. And then Michael Cullen also says Cobalt Press, and then Heavy Arms with his Gunslinger. So if you want a firearms based hero that isn't the Artificer, yeah, go check out Heavy Arms. Heavy Arms also did oh my god, I'll link it. I'm blanking on the name of it, but it is a big overhaul or introducing a fully customizable armor weapons crafting system that is freaking awesome. I recommend go throwing some dollars at that and supporting that. If you're looking for I think it's let me quickly pull it up while I go over the answers. I'll bring it up again, but I want to go support that one. Jalen Smith said mostly Cobalt Press material, which Cobalt Press again coming up. Gunslinger is great. So there it is. Thank you, Steven. Heavy Arms did the Armor's Handbook. It is an amazing supplement. I recommend going on the DM's Guild, throwing money at it. You're looking for any way to customize weapons and armor in your game. That's probably that is the book you should go use. And then Menace, Exploring Eberron. Pretty sure I spelled it wrong, but no, you spelled it correct. For those that are looking to get into Eberron, Exploring Eberron is a perfect book to grab, and I honestly want to say sometimes maybe grab it before you get the Eberron Rising from the Last War book. But I would say if you're getting into Eberron, you already have Rising from the Last War from Wizards. Pick up Exploring Eberron. It expands and goes into more detail. The reason it is a third-party book and not a Wizards produced, because it uses more of a. It's all Keith Baker, so their Wizards does not have their hand in it. It's all Keith Baker and his team, and they expand Eberron, and it's more of his canon of the situation. But it doesn't. The way Eberron's design is that everything happens 2 years after the events of the war and how the war ended, and so this just adds onto it and adds more detail and depth. And I have the book. I highly recommend it. It adds also a bunch of player options. That book as well that actually are tuned and get your players more involved in the world. And even in with the lore that it provides, it gives good starting points for players to find where their character. All right, so yeah, so also in the Discord, I want to give a shout out to Danastis and Penny Pusher. They they said that their answers were the Blood Hunter. It is a fairly popular option, popularized and created by Matt Mercer on Critical Role, for their as a class that was originally inspired by The Witcher and I believe Vin Diesel's character in a movie, and it spun out of that and eventually evolved into that. Most notably, the character Molly Mock T from Campaign 2 Critical Role was that subclass or that class. So if you want to check that out, that at least the first, well, there's 20 or so episodes, will have that subclass or have that class featured. It's fairly popular amongst the crowd. I have yet to actually dig into it, just because that dark goth and evil thing is not up my playstyle. Yeah, and actually, normally I would just jump straight into our topic, but considering we're going to be designing the subclass, I just immediately want to go into other community fun driven stuff I've done for your for the. I immediately want to go into character build of the week, and yeah, based on just straight up, I asked build a blood hunter. I'm not familiar with a blood hunter, so I don't know, but it was one of those things like it's fairly popular. People have very strong opinions on what to do with it, and this will help me kind of get more better idea of what the blood hunter probably does. So Kevin Smith was very straight up, very straightforward. A dex-based high elf blood hunter that is at least 5 levels of blood hunter, and then the rest rogue, so at least 15 rogue. It's really fun to play. Lightning weapon with the booming blade at melee range was the best. That is, booming blade's my favorite cantrip in any build that uses that has. All right, and then we have here's a couple ideas. Robin Yeager dropping bombs here, dropped a lot. So a vampire brute, a Dhampir lineage, Lycan order, with flavor all the Lycan abilities as vampire, and your transformation is more into a more powerful vampiric form to dominate the battlefield. Consider starting as a barbarian and becoming a vampire later on. This way we can focus on dex and con, which will become our attack skills in our vampiric form. Rage isn't particularly useful, but it can be fun flavor-wise. For stats, all we need is dex and con, but beyond that, consider int or strength. Intelligence helps with the blood hunter features, and strength is just nice when we can't use our main form. For background, you can really do anything. I personally love the vampire nobles as an archetype, but anything from the vampire pirate to a tavern keeper works. It also makes it so that all our rights and curses are just vampiric magic that isn't available to mere mortals. And then the other option is a mad scientist. I like the idea of a reborn or a simic hybrid, but beyond that, anything works here. 3 levels of artificer, and every level after that is blood hunter. Start as an artificer, become an armorer, and then later on pick the order of the mutant. We'll focus on constitution and intelligence, leaning into the idea of a mad scientist. Focus on improving themselves, pushing farther and farther beyond the normal limits of a person. While alchemist works as a flavor-wise, the armors, thunder gauntlets actually work with the blood rights and boosting our damage capabilities. It also makes an observably complex build, having fun keeping track of everything. For the background, scientists on Innistrad. Shout out to Innistrad. They're coming out with a new set for Magic players out there. And then our Simic Combine from Ravnica, or Phyrexian if you want to keep the Magic the Gathering theme. Phyrexians are a race of our living machines that like to corrupt and take over planes and people and beast. And yeah, so yeah, mad scientist. These are pretty sweet ideas. I get the idea that Blood Hunter uses the dark elements to make yourself a better dark elements of creatures and supernatural beings as a force for good, and also to hunt the things that you become. And at last, we have Igvital. He said he has some ideas: a reborn guild artisan, order the mutant mixed with Gloomstalker. Her name is Sig for the names of each member of her family. She has a daughter with the apothecary. Her family sells special stuff for blood hunters. Some folks were jealous of their family and sells info to the wrong people. They raid the murder of the town for days, torture her almost to death. She was rescued by blood hunters, but was what little was left with parts of her family members. Tig becomes a new addition to the order. Oh, okay. So sort of like a Frankenstein that's built of their of their family. Pretty nasty. Okay, and then Steven, depending on whether you think Crimson Right makes a weapon magical, Blood Hunter works really well with Battlesmith plus mechanical blood. Yeah, Battlesmith actually really fun class. All right, I think it's time to get into it. We're going to be looking at screens. Me, big ol' on the screen. Here we go. So, since all right, we are looking at in design. This is my layout for class. The art is of forgot the name of the character or name of the character for Magic. Excuse me. Yeah, the fighter subclass I'm wanting to do is I've been trying to nail this down. I've gone through like different versions. It started off as a Death Knight, then it turned into a Dread Knight, which was more like a fear-based fighter, and then now I settled on using Shadow and Dark Realms and the Shadowfell to make a dark-powered fighter. There's a variety of ways to do a dark-powered hero and play the dark hero fantasy trope in 5th edition already, but there's nothing in the fighter toolkit. There's nothing in the fighter class and subclass options that let you do it as a fighter. I think the fighter's a good chassis for it compared to something like the paladin, or you would have to change too many things to make it actually work due to smite being divine and radiant. But even then, you can play an oppressive paladin that still fits the trope with some of the other subclasses. You can do this as a Hexblade Warlock already, but a fighter is a great toolkit for this. So I don't have the features here, but I actually have them off to the side in another document. The first one that I had, it was, we're looking at the fighter. The big thing is obviously the first level 3 features are your kind of your bread and butter feature. Okay, give me a sec. We got some technical difficulties. I'm gonna reload InDesign. I did something. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, the first 2 levels of fighter, when you take the subclass, gives you some options. One is maybe like a small buff or something. It gives you like a small like buff or proficiency, something that are aligned with what it is, and then you have your bread and butter mechanic. And then at level 7, you have another bread and butter mechanic you get to use fairly often. And then 10, 15, 18 are just small incremental buffs to the fighter that either allows a sense of movement, extra movement, or a variation of movement, or small bonuses to the earlier features on top of that, or maybe just small minor effects that help overall, allowing to do other things outside of combat. Normally how the fighter goes. So the first feature that I have, copy, paste this, all the formatting, yeah, be better at something thematic and subclass defining features. So the first one, if I don't, the original name for this was Umbral Advantage, but I don't have that. So my first idea for the feature, I'm still going to just call it that. I will change all the fonts and stuff. Cool. It was called Umbral Advantage. So what this would do is at third level, you have dark vision with a range of up to 120 feet and gain proficiency with stealth, the stealth skill. I had some suggestions to start them off at 16 if they already have dark vision, blow them up to 120. For simplicity, for me, if your character is supposed to be a hunter or this fighter that is really well adjusted and in the dark, that they are familiar and are either have trained in the Shadowfell or any sort of dark realm equivalent in your setting, or they themselves are just have been able to manipulate and use shadow. Um, it should just kind of be baseline that they all have superior dark vision and just have 120 feet dark vision. At the end of the day, the difference between 60 and 120 won't necessarily matter in most situations, because if you're in a dungeon and you're in a 20 by 20 room, having 60 feet or 60 feet dark vision, 120 feet dark vision doesn't matter because you're in a 20 by 20 room. It only matters in like trekking in long corridors and stuff. But at that point, that gives the fighter maybe some more advantage of being more of a scout in those situations, which kind of lets him play in other roles in the party. And then we have proficiency in the stealth skill. Fighters, I don't think inherently get that, but it makes sense if you're going to be capable of and being in shadow, being able to use dim and darkness, dim light and darkness, good with. I wanted to add an additional feature on top of that. Yeah, exactly. Even if you're scouting under, like, the difference is not amazing unless you play dark vision wrong. And yeah, and the thing with dark vision, you're not seeing color either. You're seeing in shades of gray, white to black. So you still can't discern certain things when you're in dark. So that's a good point, Steven, you bring up too. Yeah, even then, like, dark vision's good enough, but it's not how regular vision works, where we have a plethora, on average, plethora of color. Yeah, so that's what that one was. But I did have a little, one idea. So I have two ideas for like additional little bonus. One option was, in addition, as a bonus action, while in dim light or darkness, you may use the hide action. So a conditional ability that you have to be standing in dim light or darkness and use the hide action. Yeah, see, and you're still making any perception checks with disadvantage. Yep, that's the big thing about dark vision. It doesn't let you get around certain parts of, like, trying to appear or look for stuff in the dark. All right. So this was one idea. In addition, as a bonus action, while in dim or dark light, you may use the hide action. That was. The other one was, as long as you're standing in dim light or darkness, you can use stealth. You get advantage on stealth check. But I think I like giving the ability to hide as a bonus action conditional. More than that, because I would rather offer the ability to stealth at a different stealth with advantage at a different ability. So this is what I think for this one. This is my general idea. Then with the main feature, this was my general idea. I wanted to give something that probably had multiple options, multiple tiers, multiple ways to spend a resource, and then provide different options. Originally, like, I have multiple. How many versions of? I probably should show this document and show. I have 1, 2, 3, like 4 or 5 different ideas, different ways to use the feature. But I think as a fighter, as a player, you're wanting a fighter ability that just doesn't do isn't straightforward. That's why the Battlemaster Fighter is like one of the community favorite options. That's why the Rune Knight Fighter is also really pushed and kind of it's strong. It's pushed. because you get all the options of the runes, and then you get an additional damage option on top of it. But then you get this Cyanide Fighter, which I've seen in play, and it's awesome. Like it does what it's supposed to do, so it kind of seems bland, but it's also, since it does what you expect it to do, to mix psionics with fighter, and the options are actually really, really solid with that. For me, those are like the fighters that tend to subclasses for me personally stick out a lot. Seeing them in play. But anything that doesn't, I think, doesn't open up writing options, is what happens. What's going on, Crusader? Thank you for joining in. So that is what I was attempting to do with my more recent edition. So we're going to copy paste this. I will show idea what I wanted to do. This correctly done. All right. Okay, so I don't have the ability name yet. This one might have gone on a die-based system. I'm still trying to. A die-based system makes it easier as we level to obviously tune it so that as we progress, we get a higher die to add to the effects. So when you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you're able to wield Shadow to enhance your physical capabilities. As a bonus action, you expand whatever this thing is, do one of the following abilities. So let me copy paste R. They're fairly straightforward, but it's 3 options that add a little bit of variety. All right, I'm fairly new to InDesign, so okay. And I will. So the first one was going to be obviously your bread and butter basic attack one. Which was going to be pretty much all you do is you would spend a d6. I keeps doing. I don't know why you are doing that, but whatever. But yeah, okay. So it would do 1d6 psychic damage and then reduce the target's movement by 10 feet. So the basic idea behind this is you hit somebody, it's like the shadows are kind of putting a hold on them. The other option, another idea I actually kind of like, is that it'll just do an additional 1d6 flat. But instead of doing the reduced movement, I would take a page out of the Shadow Blade and say if you're attacking from dim light or darkness, you have an advantage on that attack. I kind of like that better. It's a little bit more exciting if you're going to spend a die to do that, and it also puts it situations where the fighter wants. You're going to be more of a sneaky fighter at this point. But then I want to have some other feat that for those that want to play the tanky Dark Knight-esque fighter, that they can somehow induce shadow or darkness in an area so that they can use this ability. So yeah, that's that one. Attack from dim light or darkness. I will need to clean up the language for this. Yeah, that is my general idea. I don't have a name for it. Okay, Carlos asks, how can you tell if a homebrew subclass is too overpowered or underpowered to actual play? I think the best rule of thumb for this, if you don't have access to people being able to critique and have a good handle, like obviously the game, one, if you're just kind of homebrewing and just see what fits for your game and your table, that's the big thing. Also, I say compare to other options that are available at that are available in print. That is going to be the best way to kind of see where your stuff lands. As a if you can tell with Unearthed Arcana when they excuse me introduce options, they obviously overpower them so that it's easier to tune down. And that's a general good rule of thumb to do if you're trying to design something. Make it strong how you want it, and then tune it down to fit what it is. I have the opposite problem where I tune it down to being too weak and then have to boost it up, and it's harder to level. But I think compare, like, I'm not good with the math either. So like for me, I compare to other fighter progressions on damage like damage addition. So like this one, if I'm going to I'm leaning towards a die based mechanic just because it's easier to scale up and still kind of keeps things in check and gives me kind of cool things to do. But the reason I'm like picking on a D6 to help you with your example, how I'm scaling it and comparing it, is other fighter subclasses that have dice based mechanics start off as at a D6 and then scale up to a D8 and then finalize at a D10. And that's how, for me, I can justify it. It's going to play within the same level range. I can go up to the same progression. And I'm still sticking with the same single die damage buffs or stuff like that. So that's the best way. It's exactly what Steven said. Compare. And then if you're good at checking the math, then I'm terrible with the math of the game. I just I see, monkey do, and just kind of like try to match it. If it's a little more tuned, it's a homebrew. I can always go back and change it. It's not the end of the world. I'm not trying to like set a standard. I'm trying to throw some stuff out there. Okay, back to this feature. And then Steven asks, is the psychic damage a holdover from the fear-based theme? Because cold damage will hit pretty well, especially a slow effect. The psychic damage is actually originally was necrotic, which was part of the fear and the death-based theme originally. I switched over to psychic because all the shadow damage-based abilities and features in 5th edition that I've seen are psychic damage. So Shadowblade does psychic damage, which is a lot of where this is from. But if I were to go more for like a ghost ethereal theme, I definitely would hold this fits perfectly well. Yeah, I suck with the math of the game. I'm terrible. As you can see, like if you watch any of my videos, I've really shifted away from like hard mechanics because it hurts the brain, and rather just focus on flavor of stuff, and helping people create characters based off flavor more, and or talk about more of the flavor of the fun stuff. Okay, so we're gonna put this. The next ability, keep them spaced out for now before I tune this. The next ability would be if you're hit by an attack, roll a d6 and reduce the damage dealt by a d6. What this is supposed to emulate is that you are supposed to cover or turn your body into shadow as a reaction, and then you reduce the damage by that much. So the whole point of this is that you only get to use these once per turn, I believe. And I'll show you guys one of the other versions of this feature. I can actually bring it up on the screen. And then the other one was when you remake a stealth check, you add a d6 to that roll. So you're kind of covering yourself in shadow to make yourself better at stuff. Yeah, ice theme would be sweet. That there is another subclass idea I have that actually is inspired by the Prismari subclass, that a fighter that infuses elements into their weapons, and each combat connect, and that one of them was going to be like an ice element. That was one idea that I eventually want to get into the future. Thank you, Carlos. That's the stuff I have fun doing, and I like focusing on. And that's why with builds, I more focus on taking a concept and just and busting an Arnold right now. Chill. All right. Let me show other version of this feature. I like the dice mechanic. Hop in. You guys will see. Okay, I'm gonna bring this up so you guys can kind of get another feature I have. So one of the original ideas was called Dark Arts. So this is kind of where this stems from. So again, but this wouldn't be a dice-based mechanic. It would just be a mechanic that you just, as a bonus action, you activate it, and then you get to do the resounding effect until the turn. So first one was Shadow Mantle, which was going to be the defensive-based one. You get resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, and then you're able to move through creatures as if they're difficult terrain. And if you were to end your turn, you take 1d6 damage and are forced to base. General idea is you're turning your body into a shadow and able to move, but you still would provoke opportunity to attack. But it was a defensive measure that you kept on for a turn to help prevent you from getting attacks, from getting hit that hard. The another option you'll be able to do is pretty much give yourself a mini shadow blade at the time, or pretty much turn your weapon to a shadow, and you get the effects of shadow damage. This one was going to be the psychic damage equal to all your attacks. You get all your attacks you made with your weapon for that turn. We're going to be you just add additional psychic damage equal to your proficiency bonus, and then if you make the attack from dim light or darkness, you would get advantage, just like Shadow Blade, and this would just scale up with your proficiency bonus. That can always change to a 6. And then the other ability was Shadow Step, which I no longer want to, because I would rather save that as a full movement ability later on. But it would be something similar to being able to give yourself, instead of Shadow Step, I would do something with stealth and just give you straight advantage on stealth checks. So that's another version of this. I like somehow including the ability to move in a fashion where you treat objects and creatures as difficult terrain and have some sort of defensive option. So the big thing is, like, I want to have a defensive option, a utility option, and obviously your bread and butter attack option. The thing is, you're always going to mainly use the attack option as a fighter. It's the other two options are situational to allow the fighter to do more things in combat. Another thing that can be given is, in this dice option, maybe use another utility option, not just for your stealth checks, but maybe when you're trying to look for stuff, perception, darkness. Maybe get rid of some sort of disadvantage or something, or add a d6 to your perception check when looking for things in darkness, and dim and dark light. That would be another option. These would be just situational stuff. It kind of seems. I wish I was a Hell Knight subclass. A Hell Knight would probably be like a fire-based infernal fighter, honestly. That's a lot of what probably be that option. Do, and probably take some stuff from the Being Patron Warlock would work. So me paste a little extra bit. So what do you guys think of this main mechanic? Does it give you guys, as a fighter, do you feel that you have enough options to do? That is all the beans. I want at least like 4 options to give more play outside of a combat. Okay, the next time you make a perception check, while in dim light or darkness, roll a d6 and add the total to the roll. This little idea would circumvent some, like if you're looking in darkness, it would circumvent the disadvantage a little bit. Since your character would be great at looking in searching for targets in darkness, that would be a way to circumvent that. Totally not necessary to have the limitation of dim and dark light, but I have it there just. What do you guys think of this feature so far? I like the dice mechanic. Honestly, it'll be easier to progress and level it up. But I think when you start looking at it and you're adding like a D10 to your perception roll on, like towards the higher tiers of game, I don't know if it's too strong, you know. Let's see. Four. I'm tempted to drop the hide option from the first ability and make it part of the second. As a bonus action, spend a die to hide and add the die to your stealth roll. Yeah, because one of the things I'm finding is that some of this is okay. Yeah, I kind of want. Yeah, so as a bonus action, you activate it, and then the next time you are hit by. Okay, I can see that. That's probably better, and it fits more, so you don't. So I get what you're saying. This is actually more of a quality of life thing, because obviously, I've seen what it is, so that the two features can actually be used in conjunction and not fight for action economy, which I actually agree. All this stuff up. That would be a cool thing. Also, that's probably a balance issue, but maybe start off as a D4, but if you're in dim light or darkness, it goes up to the D. And then as we progress, obviously, when you get to the size of a D10, you have the potential to do 12 if you're in dim light or darkness. So at least you get the boost, but get a better boost. I actually like that idea. Why aren't you letting me think? That wouldn't be a bad idea. I'm liking it. Oh, maybe. Going on here? I don't know. All I can do, copy paste this. Take this thing. Fix it this. But I won't. I really like that idea. I think that gives it more play, and then so at least all these features can. All these features can actually do more things. And then gives so we don't get stuck playing only the stealth. So if somebody does want to do the fighter that is that just uses dark power, they don't feel penalized, but they do get an advantage for being in darkness. This on that boxes. And here it goes. So, what did I name it in the other documents? I think I called them dark arts. I think we can just call this feature dark powers for now. Dark powers. And then okay. Dark powers. Okay, we'll just leave it at that. Dark powers. So a 3rd level feature. So when you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you are able to wield Shadow to enhance your physical capabilities. As a bonus action, you may expand a Dark Powers die. I'll call it. I go bold italic. Dark Powers die to do one of the following abilities. Ooh, Dark Knight. Yeah, so I like this. Dark Powers die to do one of the following abilities. Next time you hit a creature with an attack, the attack roll deal additional damage, additional psychic damage. Cool. Of the dark power die. The next time you hit a creature with an attack, that attack deals an additional psychic damage equal to the roll of the dark powers die. I kind of want to say maybe the advantage of attacking from dim light or darkness, maybe for an upgrade at level 10 or something like that, 15, 18, somewhere around there. And just have the focus of the mechanic, at least from the get-go, because I'm trying to figure out how to word this, right? That's the big thing. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you're able to wield shadows to enhance your physical capabilities. Let's put a little while standing. Light or darkness. Power. Okay, we'll just put fluff. I'll leave that here as fluff. Change that crap later. As a bonus action, you may expand a dark powers die to do one of the following abilities. The next time you hit a creature with an attack, that attack deals an additional psychic damage equal to the roll of the dark powers die. And you have advantage on the attack if it's... Yeah, or we're going to take this part out. I think... Yeah, that's one of the things I want to do. I think as one of these features is to actually give the ability to snuff out candles or snuff out simple lights and stuff. Obviously non-magical light. I want to add that somewhere. I'm not really sure where. It could be in the 3rd level feature somewhere. Maybe like on the first one, because it's like a small cantrip-esque effect. It's like a reverse light cantrip. When you choose this archetype at 3rd level, you're able to wield shadow to enhance your physical abilities while standing in dim light or darkness. Your abilities are stronger. Whatever. Okay, as a bonus action, you may expand a dark powers die to do one of the following abilities. The next time you hit a creature with an attack, that attack deals an additional psychic damage equal to the roll of the dark powers die. The next time you are hit by an attack, reduce the damage. I gotta add some flavor stuff to this, but next time you're hit by an attack, reduce the damage dealt by the result of the roll. Dark powers die. It might be handy, maybe in this situation, to do a chart, but I don't think a chart is necessary for this. Die. The next time you make a stealth roll, stealth check roll. Next time you make a stealth check, roll dark die, add the result roll, and okay, and the same thing. And this would remove the clause of the dim light stuff, and just make you really better at pretty much. You get 2 utility abilities is what I'm seeing, and then like your bread and butter attack. And this, the big thing is we need to write a clause. I'm gonna move this all out of the way. We need to write a clause that Dark powers. We need to write a clause that that talks about why the feature itself is that switches the dice size. So I really love that idea, Steven. I will credit you with this when we get this done. Yeah, so I don't even know how to word it. I think it's, let's look up something. I think 5e, we're gonna look at, I just want to check out the Battlemaster Fighter, just how their maneuver die of feature is worded, because that actually helps a lot. Or does it? Oh, I actually don't think. Okay. Actually, okay, it does grow in size. So they go from a D8 to D10 to D12s. The only thing I worry about is maybe like the ease of use or like confusion. So one thing we can do, maybe another idea would be you roll the die. Oh, that's still kind of a pain. But like if you're standing in dim light or darkness, you add your proficiency bonus. You know, that'd be another way to do it. So, but we're gonna try this die idea. So, dark powers die. Powers die. I'm gonna choose the superiority die progression for this. It's the easiest thing to kind of copy. You have 4 dark powers die, which are D4s. They're D4s. I'm tempted. If superiority dies are able to start out at, well, no, because then no, it has to be this way because you get to go to D6. If you're standing in darkness, it becomes a D8. Then it becomes a D8, and then becomes, and you're standing in darkness, and becomes 12. D12. Yeah, no. Okay, it has to be this way for level progression to actually matter. Your D4s, but it are standing dim light or darkness. Six. You regain all of your expended dark powers die. Dark powers die. Yeah, I'm tempted. Maybe I'm thinking the not expending them while in dim light or darkness. I think that would be a good power upgrade, like in the level 15 to 18th range, when you kind of like achieve it. Maybe you become part of full darkness. So while it becomes very simple here, where you just get a straight up, it is what it is. It's just a D8. Or it would probably start off as a D6, and then later on, as like you get a power upgrade. It's like when you're if you're using these features in dim light or darkness, you don't expend a die or something like that, or you get to roll 2. I think giving this like super upfront, we'll just play with it. I don't know. The math should be fine. You regain all expended. And it's dark powers die. Powers dice. You finish short or a long rest. I'm not sure if I want to give additional uses beyond the 4. But yeah, this is general ID. Alec. Okay. Excuse me. This is all jumbled up. I need to actually fix how this is, just because yeah, this actually this needs. I need to fix how this is, because I believe the dark powers information should go up top before you use everything. Scale the power die as a bardic inspiration die. Yeah, that's pretty much how the superiority die also works. I like Steven's idea of like, if you're in darkness, you get this, but under any other normal circumstances, you're in this. It's cool. It's super flavorful. It plays into the idea, like, if you are in dim light or in darkness, you're connected to the dark realm or in the shadow. Oh no, the race with dark vision is not necessary, because we're giving them at level 3 straight up 120 feet dark vision. So they're good. So you can play any race. Any race. That's a big thing. I wanted to make sure that happened. Like that's what would happen. So but the big thing is, what I'm thinking of this switching, knowing which dice to use, ease of use for a player. I'm wondering if I just drop that and just keep it like a D8 or a D6, and then a later feature, it becomes that's when you get to add like maybe your proficiency bonus whenever you use your dark die, or that you don't actually while standing in dim light or darkness, you don't actually expend one of your dark die, or well, yeah, that's That'd be it, because the another option was if you're standing in dim light or darkness and you have no dark die, you could actually just use one of your. That can be another thing. That's mainly the ECU's thing. I would probably start off as a D6 early on, just because you're adding. I'll leave it like this. And then I'll give it up to critique afterwards, just because I want to know if that's as a player and you're playing in the game, if you understand that you need to switch your die depending on the condition that you're standing in, or if it's just better to go with ease of use and just be like, yeah, you have X amount of die that you can spend on this stuff. That's it. I feel though, without the little advantage attack, the main attack is lacking. So what I want to do is I will probably add next time you hit next time you hit a creature with an attack roll that deals an additional attack, that attack deals an additional psychic damage equal to the roll of the dark damage die, and creatures speed is reduced by 10 feet till the start of next. I think adding that little thing, it kind of gives you more of a what is it? A control aspect. And this is just like if you're going to be a ranger, like a dark ranger, like from Warcraft Sylvanas, shooting dark arrows at somebody, boom, the shadow kind of stops them and controls them, and they can't do stuff. Or at the same time, you're a tank, you're a frontliner build that is trying to control the battlefield. You power your sword and you got your shield, and boom, you're preventing them from leaving your area, reducing their. They try to run away. Then the big thing about the play with this one is, like, say you miss all your attacks on your turn and then you get a reaction. This should still work with your reaction, because it triggers the next time you hit a creature with an attack, that attack deals. So you obviously activate it as a bonus action, and then you make your attacks. I might need to change the wording on it to make sure. It might have to say until the start of your next turn, the next time you hit with it. But other than that, yeah. I'm in general, I like how these features work. I'll clean this up before I put it up to print. But let's go on to I gotta move stuff around. The reason. Hey. Okay. Let's do this level 7 feature. What I wanted to do with that. This is where it should be your other bread and butter feature. You're gonna have some cool stuff to do. The big thing I wanted to do. There was two ideas. One was Shadow Step, or some sort of movement-based ability, some sort of teleport. Because the original idea I had for this, the main feature for the subclass when I first started working on it, was like a teleport and attack. You're using darkness to travel through darkness to attack your enemies. But the other one. This feature, I think having a simplified movement ability at a later level would be fine. So, like at level 10, we'll get the movement ability. Maybe pretty much like Shadow Step, where if you're in dim light darkness, you can teleport within a certain range. I have another idea that I want to run by. Pretty much what's cooler, you know. But let's level 7 feature. This one is good. It definitely has a name. It's called Shadow's Grasp. Shadow's Grasp. do what I tell you. Okay. Shadow's Grasp. So what does Shadow's Grasp do? List of features. On buddy. Okay. Shadow's Grasp work. Donde estás, man? Okay. So the basic idea is here you are. Okay, we're gonna paste you. So Shadow's Grasp. I don't think there's a Shadow's Grasp. Okay. So the basic idea for this one is like the next time you take the attack action, so one of your attacks you can hit them, and then you pretty much activate it so that the creature has to make the creature has to make a strength saving throw. If not, they are original idea was to be grappled. So it would add a grapple feature on top of your attack. The only thing is like that 10-foot movement speed feature that we just put kind of negates it. I don't like having features that negate. Kind of lame. So, and having a control option that's based off your attack. I'll remove it. We forgot about that, but yeah, that's thing. At the start of your at level 7, a little bit. Mine's better. At level 7, you are able to manipulate the shadows of your enemies. When you take the attack action, you may replace one of your attacks with Shadow's Grasp. A creature you can see within 30 feet of you must make a strength saving throw against your Shadow's Grasp, which is equal to 8 plus your Constitution modifier plus your proficiency bonus. On a failed save, they take 2d6 necrotic. It wasn't going to be necrotic. It should be psychic damage. It's a holdover. Damage and are restrained until the start of your next turn. On a successful save, the target takes half as much damage and is not restrained. Yeah, so it's like an alternate attack feature. It's one that I've like stuck with for a while, and I don't really see not keep. Yeah, like you're replacing one of your attacks to do a crowd control ability. I don't know how people feel about that, but you can do it within 30 feet, and I have to fix. Not say. And it's going to have the clause of how many times you can use it. Add that in there too. Yeah. The clause on how many times you can use it. And that would be actually your proficiency bonus. And this one recharges on a long rest. The only problem I have with this one is that a problem with this one, only this feature is that this possibly could just be its own like main attack feature, or somehow included into the dark powers as part of the attack, but or worded in a way that it doesn't do. I don't know. since we already have a defensive feature in the in this ability, I'm not necessarily sold on having another like defensive or some sort of utility. Having a CC ability with some sort of like a spell like CC ability is more up, I think, what this kind of needs, and it's kind of a cool, flavorful like alternate attack. I don't know how you guys feel about this one, but yeah, that's what that is. Um, it's not necessarily too strong because it's only doing 2d6 psychic damage. I think at later levels we can scale it, like at level 15, change it, maybe add some damage to it. Who knows? But the point isn't really to. The point of it is to try to restrain. Give it the option like you're holding somebody in shadow. Okay. So then at 10th level, this is where I kind of want my walk, my sort of movement feature. And it's also a place where we can also see the first upgrade of a dice. So there's a couple options when I have like the walk abilities. A lot of riders. Okay. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like, I'm wondering if I can just take that away or move that to another feature later. At that point, then I think maybe at level 7, a movement ability would be fine. Not necessarily maybe a teleport, but something else. Because I really like Shadow's Grasp. I just don't know. Well, that would probably be a level 15 feature. Not gonna lie. Because level 15, you kind of at times can get another, or maybe I can just shelve it. Shadow Grasp. I'll just leave that jumbled soup. Then I think, yeah. So one of the ideas, okay. So at 7th level, I had 2 versions of Shadow Step. One was Shadow Walker. You can gain the ability to step from one shadow to another when you're in dim light or darkness and place your movement for the turn. You can teleport a number of feet equal to your walking speed to an unoccupied space. You can see that is also in dim light or darkness. Basic Shadow Step. The other one, a little bit more wordy, but it wasn't necessarily Shadow Step because as cool as Shadow Step and being able to just kind of jump shadows, the other idea was it was also called Shadow Walker, Dark Walker, something, but it acted more like what is it? Meld into stone. So, but obviously you're not going into the stone. You would actually meld yourself into the shadow, and it would give you a climb speed equal to your movement, and pretty much you would be able to climb throughout all shadow on walls and stuff. I don't know if you. There was a Zelda game on the DS, or yeah, that Link was able to go in between worlds. Yeah, I think that's what it was, between 2 worlds or something, and he would go into the wall as like a painting, and then he would be able to flip onto the other side of the other world, the Dark Realm or Dark version of Hyrule. That's kind of the idea, but except with the climb speed, you're actually using it to climb also. Yeah, so if you're in dim light or darkness, you treat hostile creatures and objects as terrain. So yeah, that might be. That's why I'm like, one thing I do want to give fighter access to more movement. I think that's something that lacks. But I also wanted to, and I like, I like the idea of like, yeah, their body becomes shadow, so they can actually move through objects. Um, I had it completely written out, and I don't remember where I put it. Yeah, this one was called Shadow Mantle. As a bonus action, you can see within 30 feet comes available in darkness. Okay, that was more of a defensive. Um, I'm wondering with that feature. Okay, okay, I have another version of it called Shadow Mantle, which kind of does what you're saying, Steven. It was as a bonus action, but I don't know how we'll do it now. But it would be, um, the mantle drowns the light around you, causing you to become heavily. I will. Okay, let me read what it says. Put it back on the screen. See this right here. This one. Okay, so as a bonus action, a creature you can see within 30 feet of you, including yourself, becomes enveloped in darkness until the start of your next turn. You have the following benefits. Um, this is where the resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage came from. I would probably remove that from this. The mantle drowns the light around you, causing you to become heavily obscured to others. The shadow turns dim light within 10 feet of you into darkness, and bright light into the same area to dim light. So you or a target um, becomes a beacon, right? And then what's it called? You can move through other objects as if they were difficult terrain. You take 1d6 force damage, blah 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 blah. So the big idea was to either turn yourself into this big old blanket of shadow, but obviously the big thing was like giving resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage with it, or to give it to an ally and turning them into a beacon. Because at a later level, like at level 10, you'd get the movement ability, which was going to be shadow step, shadow walk, where you can just teleport to that beacon. You turn a person into a beacon, and then they have a defensive option. But now with the damage reduction ability over here, I don't know if I want to add a damage reduction over here for level 7, but it would be more of a defensive thing. And since it's a bonus action, unfortunately it eats up a lot of stuff here. I might have to tweak this more and not have this activated as a bonus action, and have maybe have it work as the maneuver, where have it work as a set of like preset maneuvers that have their own activation time. So maybe some of them using the reaction, some of them using only when you use an attack. That might be the best bet for this. Yeah. So that's so that I don't that's so that I don't eat up all the bonus action. I go Shadow Mantle, bringing you back, baby. Okay, Shadow Mantle, and then we're gonna go. We'll keep those as a bonus action. There's some arguments to be made to make this like as a reaction. You're reacting, and then you're putting a shadow. But as a bonus action, I think it makes it more tactical because you have to preemptively think about this. One of those, you have to make sure that you really are going to do the thing, and I kind of like having that tactical. I think having a level of tactical play makes things a little bit more fun and interesting for the fighter. As a bonus action, oh, As a bonus action, a creature you can see within 30 feet of you, including yourself, becomes enveloped in darkness until the start of your next turn, and then they would be able to do some fun stuff. Back. I'm just gonna keep it as is. It's a hyper defensive ability. Unfortunately, it it eats up space with the damage reduction over here, which I kind of don't like, unfortunately. So if I can think of another way, another ability. Gotta figure gotta figure something out with this resistant clause right here that I have written on. I can figure something out for there and not necessarily give them resistance, not give a that's one thing I don't want to like stack too many defensive buffs because you give yourself defense and then give yourself defense, you know, and then you have another defense ability that's applicable to other players. But that's my big thing is just having too much defense on him. That's one thing to worry about. Well, I will figure it out. Trying to decide. Trying to decide really if that's even worth having. You know? That eats up here. Needs to get rewritten. Actually, that. Yeah, that's what I have right here. Shadow Mantle, 7th level feature. As a bonus action, a creature you can see within 30 feet. Important. Okay. As a bonus action, a creature you can see within 30 feet of you, including yourself, becomes enveloped in darkness until the start of your next turn. Till the start of your next turn. Falling benefit. Following benefits: resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. The mantle drowns the light around you, causing you to become heavily obscured to others. The shadow turns dim. The shadows turn dim light within 10 feet of you into darkness, and bright light into the same area to dim light. You can move through other creatures and objects as if they were difficult terrain. You take 1d6 force damage if you end your turn inside an object. This is the only point of contention I'm having is just the resistance issue. Other than that, I like everything else about it. As the only thing. And only because like I keep repeating myself, it conflicts with the defensibility over. Because I don't want like two double defense abilities that you can just stack on your. Okay, so I'll figure that out afterwards. I think at that point, if we're gonna go with a Shadow Mantle, and I think the simplified Shadow Step better. Shadow Walk. Call it Shadow Step. Having a name, but Shadow Walk. Battle Step, Dark Step. And then, yeah, we're going to have it so that I don't want it to use a bonus action. I'd rather just have it replace your move. We have a lot of stuff that's going to eat up bonus action. I don't want that to happen. Let me grab this document and put... Oh, here it is. A level 15 feature. Meld your... It was a level 15, but this can be a level 10. Meld your body into shadow casted on a surface that is not your own or surface that is in darkness. You can move up and down the vertical across vertical surfaces and upside down along ceilings. Have a shadow casted on them. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. Yeah, that was the thing. Found it. Oh, where are you at? Gain the ability to step from one shadow to another when you're in dim light or darkness in place of your movement for the teleport a number of feet. Walking speed. An unoccupied space you can see that is in also within dim light or darkness. Hey, what's going on, Major? Thanks for stopping by. I'm gonna copy paste. Gain the ability to step from one shadow into another when you're in dim light or darkness. In place of your movement for the turn, you can teleport a number of feet walking speed to an unoccupied space you can see that is also in dim light or darkness. And then also, okay, where we need to actually, I think that's why I had it as Shadow Walker. Change the name of that. Because then we're also going to increase, this is where we increase our damage die for... Yeah, this is where we increase our damage die. Yeah, we're going to keep this. Increase it from a 4 to D6 if standing in darkness. Spell increases from a D6. Yeah. Probably gonna have to do a pager. What do you guys think of that? Very simple. Trying to grab a feet. I like both. Our power's die size increases from a D6 to a D8, and if standing in dim light or darkness, it increases from... Yeah, pretty simple. It just changes up the shadow step kind of feature a little bit different. If we really wanted to go like full, be completely unique with it, we wouldn't have a teleport step. I would probably instead do the milled into stone. But I think since Shadow Mantle going to turn a person into a beacon of shadow, we can do that to a creature or to ourselves. If we do it to a creature, pretty much a teammate, we turn them into a beacon and we can teleport to them. And then using Shadow Walker to teleport to them. If we turn ourselves into Shadow and we're emanating darkness, technically we'd be standing in darkness, and then use Shadow Walker to go to another thing of darkness. Other than that, okay. Level 18, the pretty much the last two features I'm always getting stuck on because it's like I get to do all the cool stuff at the beginning that I wanted. For sure at level 18, our capstone thing about like fighter capstone is like they don't do crazy stuff. It's really, really weird. They're all about all buffs. So for sure, we're gonna have another upgrade to our dark powers die at level 18. All right. So take this. So from a D8, and the math can be totally off about these. All right. Boom. What we got, and what we have for that, and pretty much that's all my general ideas for this. The part where I get stuck, I'm not necessarily sure what else to do for them. Level 15's features. Trying to think. Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Fred? Thanks for stopping by. And trying to figure out what I should be doing for this last two features. I don't want to do Shadow's Grasp, but I'm not necessarily sure another damage option is even worth putting into like this class. Have like kind of our main things where we have a main defensive option. We have a bunch of uses of our dark powers, which I think this needs to get kind of rewritten. Definitely needs to get rewritten a bit. And I'm having a bit of contention with the resistance here and the feature down here. So that's part of the thing I'm trying to really figure out how to make sure this defensive option and this other option up here are okay with each other. Maybe it's not. Maybe I shouldn't put Shadow Mantle and have it. Maybe this is where I can have like I snuff out like I could snuff out light at level 7. We've Carlos brought this up earlier about having a feature that does that, and I'm thinking maybe that's what Shadow Mantle does. I already have. I could snuff out stuff instead of putting it on a person. I can put it on a point. Maybe turn this into like a. Well, no, because then that would go. That would mess with. It's a stealth check. Kind of the problem when you have like a bunch of features at the beginning that you dump all your fun stuff into. But we definitely need to drown out light somehow with this. And maybe we just drop dark powers and turn it. I have a couple other features I have developed for the powers. Or or maybe that's where I can put our Shadow Mantle feature, or not Shadow Mantle, Shadow's Grasp or something I had instead. And then so I can keep the Shadow Mantle feature here, Shadow Walker, while Shadow's Grasp wouldn't be fun, I guess. It's more straightforward. We lose the potential utility, but I think with a fluffing up the utility feature up here might be the better option for this class. So you have your main attack that you can always just use bread and butter, and then your defensive option, and then use your another third level feature that just gives a bunch of smaller little smaller buffs, so that I don't have to worry about having attack and damage. We're going to be wrapping it up here pretty soon. I have a lot to think about. I was hoping to get this done today, but or at least done on the stream, but I think I'm going to spend the rest of the day working on this. If I hit my head against the wall, I'm probably going to switch gears and work on some video stuff. I'm just trying to think. Trying to think what exactly you do, because I do want to give utility, but I don't think maybe a die mechanic might not be necessarily the best direction for it now that I think about it, because a lot of stuff that we get to do dark power stuff, we front loaded it in with smaller effects, which I think can have stronger effects if we filter them out later, you know. So like obviously we keep level 10. I love Shadow Mantle and as a defensive tool. I think obviously the imagery of grasping somebody with shadow and when you're attacking and holding them down and restraining them is where a lot of the stuff is at. As it's very evocative of being a shadow using fighter. But obviously some of this stuff comes in contention with each other because you want to filter these out too. Oh, yeah. Oh, I think I'm hitting my head against the wall now. I think it's time that I do the stream down. So again, thank you guys for showing up. Next week, we will be doing. I'll probably do another topic. Watch out for the community page and on Patreon. I'm gonna and also on the Discord. I will be posting, if I get this done today, I will be posting links to this subclass that will be up to up for criticism to fix. If I can get that done today, I will blast that out. If not, I will get this done soon because I want this done so I can work on something else. Again, thank you guys for showing up. Thank you, Steven. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Fred, Major, David, NPC. Let's see, Adrian. Thank you guys for all showing up and coming into the stream and providing some feedback and info and whatnot. If you want to support the channel, best way to do that, if you want to do it directly, I mean, Patreon and here on YouTube, become a Dungeoneer. Support the channel, get access to a bunch of fun stuff, as well as if become a membership here on YouTube. But the best way to support the channel always is to like, comment, subscribe every video that comes out. That helps us get into YouTube. You can check me out on our socials, Dungeoneers Pack YT on Facebook, Dungeoneers Pack on Instagram, and Deep Twitter. And if you want to talk more about this or anything 5th edition, everybody's welcome to come to the Discord. Dungeoneers Pack Discord link is in the description below. Again, thank you guys for showing up, and until next time, you guys have a good